She's beautiful, she's stylish, she's Melania Trump. The world knows her name, they know her face. She's an enigma, a whisper of elegance in a world obsessed with noise. As First Lady, she redefined the role. She wasn't afraid to stand apart, to be herself. And people noticed. Some called her cold, aloof. They didn't understand her quiet strength. They underestimated her, and that's their problem. Let's set the record straight. This is Melania Trump, unfiltered. Melania's story is the American dream. Born in Slovenia, a small country you've probably never heard of, she had ambition, drive. She wanted more. She began modeling at 16. Her career took flight. Milan, Paris, New York. She graced magazine covers, walked prestigious runways. She was a force to be reckoned with. Then she met Donald Trump. The rest, as they say, is history. But this wasn't just another society marriage. Melania brought her own fire to the relationship, her own ambition. She became an American citizen, a wife, a mother, and eventually the First Lady of the United States. But her journey was just beginning. Melania Knaus, as she was known then, wasn't born with a silver spoon. She grew up in a modest apartment in Slovenia. Her father, a car salesman, instilled in her the value of hard work. Her mother, a pattern maker, nurtured her love of design and aesthetics. Even as a young girl, Melania was driven. She excelled in school. She spoke multiple languages, Slovenian, of course, but also Serbo-Croatian, English, French, German, and Italian. Try saying that 5 times fast. This wasn't just a party trick. It was a sign of her ambition, her desire to connect with the world, to break down barriers. Little did she know, these languages would open doors to a future beyond her wildest dreams. At 16, Melania's world expanded. She was discovered by a photographer. Her modeling career took off. But this wasn't some fairy tale. It was hard work, long hours, constant travel. Milan became her launching pad. Then Paris. She graced the pages of Vogue, Harper's Bazaar, even Sports Illustrated. She wasn't just a pretty face. She had a presence, an aura. Designers loved her. Photographers adored her. But Melania was never one to be defined by others. She was building something more. She enrolled at the University of Ljubljana, studying architecture and design. She had a plan. She always had a plan. This drive, this determination, would serve her well in the years to come. In 1998, destiny intervened. Melania met Donald Trump at a New York Fashion Week party. He was smitten. She was Melania. She wasn't easily impressed. Their courtship was classic Trump. Bold gestures, media attention. But behind the headlines, a real connection was forming. Melania saw something in Donald that others missed. His humor, his warmth, his unwavering belief in himself. She wasn't a politician's wife. She was a former model, an immigrant, a woman who spoke 5 languages and could rock a couture gown like nobody's business. Melania brought her own style to the role. She renovated the White House Rose Garden, adding a touch of her own European sensibility. She oversaw the Christmas decorations, transforming the People's House into a winter wonderland. Some criticized her choices. Too fancy, too expensive. They didn't get it. Melania wasn't afraid to be bold, to make a statement. She was bringing glamour back to the White House. Melania wasn't content to just redecorate. She wanted to make a real difference, especially for children. That's why she launched Be Best. This wasn't just another empty initiative. It was a call to action, a plea for kindness, compassion, and respect. It focused on the well-being of children, both online and offline. Cyberbullying, opioid abuse. These were tough issues, but Melania wasn't afraid to tackle them head-on. She visited schools, hospitals. She met with experts. She used her platform to shine a light on the challenges facing young people. And she did it all with her trademark grace and poise. The media, of course, tried to tear her down. They mocked her accent. They questioned her motives. But Melania didn't back down. She knew what was important, and she wasn't going to let the haters stop her. Let's talk fashion, darling. Because Melania, she understands the power of a good outfit. She knows that clothes aren't just fabric. They're a statement, a way to communicate without saying a word. And communicate she did. From the moment she stepped out in white Dolce & Gabbana suit, the world took notice. Her style was impeccable, elegant, always appropriate but never boring. She wasn't afraid to take risks. A bright pink Dior gown for a state dinner. A sleek, black Michael Kors dress for a visit with the Queen. She rocked them all, effortlessly. The fashion police were in a frenzy. They analyzed every outfit, every accessory. But Melania didn't care. She was dressing for herself, and for the world to see. She was a first lady like no other. They called her a sphinx, a mystery. The media couldn't figure Melania out. They wanted her to fit into their neat little boxes, liberal, conservative, feminist. But Melania defied their labels. She wasn't interested in playing their games. While the world focused on every word, every tweet from her husband, Melania chose a different path. She understood the power of silence, of a subtle gesture, a knowing smile. On the world stage, she shone. Heads of state were charmed, royalty impressed. She spoke their languages, yes, but more importantly, she spoke the language of respect, of understanding. She stood tall beside her husband, a pillar of strength and elegance, but she also carved her own path, connecting with people on a human level, reminding the world that diplomacy isn't just about words, it's about presence. It seems like a blip in history, but in that short time, Melania Trump left an indelible mark on the White House. She restored a sense of glamour, of tradition, of elegance. She didn't need to shout from the rooftops. Her actions spoke louder than words. The countless events she hosted, the charities she championed, the children she comforted, she understood the weight of history, the responsibility that came with being First Lady, and she carried it with grace, with dignity, with a quiet strength that her critics could never comprehend. Her legacy will be debated, of course. History is rarely kind to those who dare to be different. But one thing is certain, Melania Trump redefined what it means to be First Lady. She did it her way, on her own terms. The comparisons are inevitable. Let's be honest, ladies and gentlemen, the media loves to pit women against each other, especially First Ladies. Melania Trump is in a league of her own. No disrespect to her predecessors, but let's face it, the comparisons are inevitable, but they're ultimately meaningless. And who in the end did it all with style? Let's talk about the elephant in the room, shall we? The liberal media. They like to pretend they're all about girl power, women supporting women, but when it comes to Melania Trump, crickets. They couldn't stand her. From day one, they attacked her accent, her clothes, her marriage. They even mocked her for planting a tree. A tree, people, you can't make this stuff up. What was their problem? Maybe it was her quiet confidence, her refusal to play their games. Or maybe it was simply that she was married to Donald Trump. Whatever the reason, they couldn't break her. They underestimated her. They thought she would crumble under the pressure. They thought wrong. Melania Trump knows how to handle criticism. She's been dealing with it her whole life. The modeling world is tough. People can be cruel. But she learned to rise above it. She developed a thick skin. They wanted her to cry, to lash out, to give them something. But she never gave them the satisfaction. She knew their game. She understood that they thrived on negativity. She met their attacks with silence, or better yet, with a smile and a wave. They tried to shame her, but she just kept on shining. It was like their words bounced right off her. Don't mistake her silence for weakness. Melania Trump is a force to be reckoned with. She's a woman who knows her own mind. She doesn't need your approval. She doesn't seek your validation. She's comfortable in her own skin, confident in her own choices. She doesn't need to shout to be heard. Her presence speaks volumes. Her actions speak louder than words. She's a reminder that strength doesn't always roar. Sometimes it's the quiet whisper that commands the most attention. The calm in the storm. The eye of the hurricane. Melania Trump is the silent storm. And the left? They never knew what hit them. Melania Trump. Just saying her name evokes reactions. Some worship her elegance. Others scoff at her silence. But love her or hate her, you can't deny her impact. She redefined the role of First Lady, broke the mold. She wasn't content to just pick out China patterns. She used her platform to make a difference, to shine a light on issues close to her heart. Media couldn't figure her out, and that drove them crazy. They tried to make her a villain, but in doing so, They only amplified her strength. Melania 2.0, The Return, 2024. The whispers are turning into roars. Could she be returning to the White House? The thought alone is enough to send some into a frenzy. For others, it's a beacon of hope. Imagine it. Melania 2.0, armed with the wisdom and experience of her first tenure, no longer needing to prove herself, free to embrace the role on her own terms. What would her platform be? What issues would she champion? The possibilities are endless. One thing's for sure, she wouldn't shy away from controversy. She never has. Whether she graces the halls of the White House again or chooses to focus her energy elsewhere, one thing is certain. Melania Trump's story is far from over. She's a force to be reckoned with, and the world better be ready.